All right. Welcome. We're live. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? We got the PDFs downloading. Welcome, Madeline. First time here. So, yeah, the PDF is optional if you just want to follow along with some of the exercises that we're going to go through. I try to start with sort of some basic stuff and work my way into a little more advanced stuff. All right. We got Paul who's back for more. Glenn B. and Dree. Good to see you again. Ron, good to see you again. Excellent. Sour Steven in the house. Welcome, welcome. Anthony McSee. In honor of the modern country vibe tonight, we got the red solo cup. Cheers, everybody. Jody One's here. Welcome. Elias, happy Friday, sir. Good to see you. Sacramento, Tony, what's up? Texas, Rick Falcon. Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks so much for joining tonight. I had a request come in throughout the week about, what if we did a modern country thing, a special request. So, hey, Ron from Vegas, what's up? Mr. Daniel, as always. So I thought, okay, we'll go through some modern country stuff. Now, listen, if modern country is not your bag, okay, do not worry about it. I'm going to show you lots of sort of approaches and techniques that are typical of what's going on there right now, but that doesn't mean you can't use it in any kind of genre, any kind of music you're playing, okay? So anything you can learn from any genre is what I'm trying to say is a good thing. Okay, so and by the way, this is just dipping our toe into the style of modern country a little bit. I picked up some exercises, some things that I hear in modern country records, but by no means is this a complete course on. You would have to have a whole course on all the hallmarks of modern country. I'm just dipping my toe in and just giving you a little sampling, a little taster of some things. I can't cover everything in the time that we have tonight. So this is just a little sample of stuff. We do have some stuff on Guitar Tricks. That's why we're here. We're promoting guitartricks.com. So a lot of you know that we do have a good selection of modern country songs in the song list. We got some Jason Aldean and stuff like that. And also we've got a country course on Guitar Tricks, which will be a lot more extensive into these kind of things. And there's even a sample modern country type mini song in that course. So if you dig what we're talking about tonight and want to see more, check out guitartricks.com. We've got lots of stuff on there. All right. So said my piece, hopefully. So as always, I aim to go to use stuff on acoustic as well as electric. Okay, so I'll be switching back and forth a little bit. Most of what we're doing tonight can be played on acoustic and also electric. Right at the end, I'm going to go into some lead stuff, which is a little more electric guitar based, if that makes sense. All right. Eric Black, what's up? Awesome. Erica, hello again. John. All right, man. Good to see you. And Rui, good evening. And Kenneth from Pittsburgh, Rick from Australia. Awesome. Jim Gregory's here. Excellent. And Peter is here as always. Thank you for tuning in each and every Friday. Mo, awesome, from New Hampshire. Big country fan. Edward Rose, what's up? Madeline's from Charlotte. Excellent. And TMC Mahon 18 from Boston, Teddy P from New York, Jeff Moore, California. Thanks so much for joining. All right. Dave, what's up? Thanks for jumping on. Okay. So as I said, you don't have to be a huge fan of country to get into this stuff, but yeah, a lot of you are country fans. So this is cool. John from Ireland. Excellent. I love it. The international vibe. Okay. So, as always, sort of on these PDFs, I try to start with something to get the fingers moving a little bit. Oh, we got Rick Sticks is here. Excellent. Cool, cool. Okay, so in exercise 1, I'm going to show you a few scales that you can warm up on, but they're really hallmark scales, especially in modern country. Country typically leans on the major pentatonic and the Mixolydian scales. So I'll talk a little more about that. And of course, the regular blues, minor pentatonic and blues scales to a certain extent, mixing them up. But country generally has a brighter kind of sound to it. So that's why that major pentatonic and more of that Mixolydian kind of sound get used, all right? Portugal, excellent, excellent. Thanks for staying up late. Brian from San Diego, awesome. Okay, so the first scale warm-up in the second position, okay? And you might recognize this box as the minor pentatonic box, which we can also use for major. It's just the root notes change their positions within that pattern. So if I start on A, I'm going to do A major pentatonic. I'm going to grab A with my pinky on the 5th fret of the low string. And the next 3 strings moving up, it's the 2nd and 4th frets. When you get up top, it's the 2nd and 5th frets. Okay? Now, you might recognize this box. Don't worry, Peter. This is just our warm-up. Okay? A minor pentatonic box. This is one of the earliest scales that most people learn on guitar. You can use it for major pentatonic, 3 frets down from where you would use it for minor pentatonic, but you have to realize that the root note changes position. Okay? Craig from Australia, g'day. Jack from Washington, what's up? Jazz House. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so we've got A notes in this pattern. 5th fret of the low string, 5th fret of the high string, and we've got one in the middle on the G string, 2nd fret. So just getting the fingers moving. And so the first question is, why not start on the F sharp? Well, I'm thinking about A major pentatonic, okay? So if I actually start on the F sharp note, which by the way, F sharp is part of A major pentatonic. It's a note in that scale. But if I start on it, I'm going to trick my ear into, my ear is going to hear F sharp minor pentatonic, right? Because if you think of this same pattern, second position, starting on the F sharp note, that's how all that scale is going to sound against the root note. Instead of, if I start on A, it has a brighter sound. It has a different sound. And I don't want to mess up my ears in trying to learn the sound of these scales, okay? So whenever you're practicing a scale, always start on the root of the scale you're playing, okay? Even if there's a note in the pattern that's below the lowest root, okay? So. All right, so we're going to go up, alternate picking, starting with a downstroke on the low string, which means we're going to change on an upstroke. So that's a cool practice, okay? We're going to go up and down the scale. Let's see if we can do it. 1 and 2 and down, up, down, up. Okay, now notice we came down to the F sharp note when we came back, and then we came back up and finished on that A note. And in fact, I like to, at the end of going up and down a scale, I like to reference all of those root notes in their respective octaves within that pattern, just to reinforce that's our home tonic, that's our home note in the scale, okay? Makes sense? It's no biggie if this is over anyone's head, you know, any beginner guitar players out there, no biggie if you're not following right now, just a finger exercise, get the fingers moving a little bit, okay? The second exercise, 1B, now uses some open strings, and this is what's known as the Mixolydian scale. The Mixolydian scale is the 5th mode of the major scale. And essentially all it is the major scale with the 7th note of the scale down a semitone, okay? We call that the flat 7 or the minor 7 in the scale. So you would say, this is a major scale with a flat 7. This is a major scale where the 7th is flat to a minor 7th. That's sort of the terminology we use. Don't worry if you don't understand it so much. But the beauty of it is, in this example, the key of A, we've got all those open strings that are part of the scale. So we can go up, open string starting on the A string, 2nd, 4th fret. Okay, and in fact, you can do that on the A, D, and G string, right? Then you can double up. You can see that I'm doubling up on the B note, 4th fret of the G, and playing the open B string as well. That note is available to you. And then you go up 2nd and 3rd fret on the B, and then open 2nd, 3rd on the high string. And then if you go up to the 5th fret, there's your high root note for A, right? And then I'm going to come back down and play a little bit of a riff at the end because I'm going to show you the notes on the low string. So this is what it sounds like. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay. Flubbed a note in there, but hey, it happens to the best of us, right? So what we've got there is coming down past the root and grabbing 3, 2, low string on the E string. Okay, those are notes that are part of the scale and we can use them, right? And I showed you even a really common way how to use that is just the G note with a bluesy bend, 3rd fret on the low string, going up to an A power chord to kind of end it off. Now, where it gets cool, and I'll start to show you some stuff as we go through some of these exercises, but you can do some pretty cool riffs and licks. That kind of stuff is all part of like country vocabulary a little bit, and we're going to get into a lot more detail in that kind of thing. But I just wanted to show you that the open strings are used all the time in country, and it's part of the reason why they get some of those fast licks going is because they're a lot of times they're pulling off and sliding off to open strings, just for that, you know, kind of that really distinct sound. Okay. At any rate, learning this scale and picking through it, however you'd like to pick through it, is another great warm up, right? And it's used all the time in country as well as other genres. Okay, everybody with me so far? Thanks, Peter. I felt that too. I sat in the room in Guitar Center and played a whole bunch of acoustics, and this one sounded the best to me, so had to get it. All right, so let's go into section 2.2, and we're talking about sort of going to show you sort of a typical chord progression and how a guitarist might approach playing this chord progression in modern country. In modern country, what I notice is a lot of the time, you know, these songs are really lean heavily on the lyrics and the melodies. And a lot of times the simpler, the better for the music underneath. So, you know, a lot of the session guys in Nashville, you know, go in there and they have like, you know, a lot of times you'll have a song that just has one chord progression all the way through. Okay. And so how do you build an arrangement and do cool stuff in each section? So this is what I'm sort of getting at with these next 3 exercises within section 2 here of the handout. Okay. Just the same chord progression, a typical chord progression for a modern country song, and just some ways to play it to make it sound cool. So the first one, 2A, is, let me play it first, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So I think it goes something like this. Okay. So what I played in there was, you know, I didn't exactly stick to what I transcribed. I transcribed it super simple, okay, just to show you, you know, sort of where the accents are and where to make the chord changes. So we've got an A major chord, is what we're starting with, okay? And then there's, as you can see, there's sort of a 16th note groove. So we're going to be like thinking 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a with the strums, down, up per major quarter note beat in the bar. So we've got a down, up, down, okay? And that chord change happens on the and of 2, which is very typical, okay? Obviously not just in modern country, but it is sort of a hallmark sound a little bit in modern country. And we're going to an open E chord. So we're just going from straight open chords, A major, E major, okay? So, and then I throw in another strum on the 4th beat of the bar just to kind of keep it going a little bit. Now, what I could do is add in some strums in between. So, and you notice that what's transcribed are the accents where I'm digging in a little bit louder on each strum. So that kind of thing, okay? So right there, you know, something like this might be like an intro of the song, you know, kind of thing, where it starts off sort of at a higher dynamic and you've got these big chords with big strums going on. Might also be a chorus, right? Okay, the second bar, we're using some different type of chords. This is a variation of an F sharp minor chord. Okay, so if we're in the key of A, we've gone from audible headache, what's up? We've got A major, which is the 1 chord, E, which is the 5 chord, and then this would be the 6 minor chord, minor 6, F sharp minor. Now I'm playing a little variation on this using some open strings that work in the key. B and E are all in the key of A major, right? And this gives a really floaty, kind of cool transitional kind of sound to the chord. 2nd fret of the low string, I'm curling my finger to mute the A string, and then I've got the 2nd fret of the D and G string and the open top string. Okay, really cool chord. It'd be like an F sharp minor 7 at 11 or something like that. F sharp minor 11, depending on how you what your naming convention is. Okay, but really cool. And then you're going to the D chord, but I'm actually just going to a D sus2. Okay, so instead of the major 3rd being in the open D chord, which would be the 2nd fret of the high string, I'm letting the open E string ring out. That makes it a sus2 or suspended 2 chord. So that second, absolutely, Ron. If it's more if it's more convenient for you guys to use the thumb, if you can make that happen, absolutely. Okay, I'm all about the thumb being used on those chords where you've got like a root note that's sort of like that. If it's more comfortable, go for it. You make it happen. Okay. So put it together a little bit. All right, so that's sort of a higher dynamic sort of approach on this chord progression, okay? So now let's go to the second exercise. What's up, Chad? No worries, man. We're just plowing through here on some cool stuff, hopefully. So another way to play this chord progression, which is it's sort of in modern country especially, it could be a common way to approach this in a verse section where the dynamic might come down a little bit, but we're playing the same chord progression, is to use power chord shapes. So you can see I've got an A power chord, 5th fret of the low string, 7th fret of the A and D. Okay, and as it's transcribed, I've got a little bit of palm muting going on just to keep it a little bit tight, right? So, and you can see that I'm strumming 8th notes, all downstrokes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. What's up, Jay? Good to see you here. All right. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you're making that change to the E power chord, 7th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the D and G, on the and of 2, the first bar. And then we're going up to an F sharp power chord, 2 frets up, 9, 11, 11 on the A, D, and G, and then down to D, 5, 7, and 7. Okay? Same shapes, right? So really simple, but super effective. Want to bring that dynamic down in the verse. This is something we might play. What's up, Chad? Yeah, man. I love my Martin. Okay? Now, there's other things you can do with this. A lot of times you might like start, maybe start with that really simple, really steady, and then kind of maybe add a little bit of groove and a little bit of texture to it. So it might be something more like. Okay. So I'm sort of just adding some upstrokes and some downstroke accents into it, like just getting more of a down up kind of thing going. Right? So I've got a combination of like palm muting going on, and I'm kind of lifting up and hitting a little bit harder in some of the spots, finding some holes to add a little bit of texture to it. Why does that sound like glycerine? Because this chord progression is used in millions of songs. That's why. So there you go. Awesome. All right. So another thing you could do is expand from the power chords and go up to the full bar chords, right? And that way you can add in the majors and minors for this chord progression. Right? So on the A chord, you could do the full A major bar chord, 5th position. Go up to the major bar chord with the root on the A string for the E. Move up 2 frets and use the B minor shape. Moved up to the 9th position for F sharp minor, and then back down to the major shape for D, right? Cool. All right, so there's that. Then we've got exercise 2C, which is talking a little bit about, and this is sort of a hallmark of modern country, not just modern country, pop, rock, but it's just basically taking some of the notes from the chords, incorporating some open strings, and just coming up with some cool voicings to, maybe make the second verse sound a little bit different than the first. So I've got something that goes like this. Okay? So the whole while this is going, right? And then you're adding something on top. It could be on an electric guitar, like. Right? So this would be great on an electric guitar. Again, I just did a really simple transcription of it where it's sparse kind of thing, which could be really cool too. It just sort of depends on what, what the song is feeling like it needs, right? And other times it might need a little bit more, like if you start going. Okay. So I encourage you to experiment with, taking a chord progression and just, finding some notes, figuring out what the notes are on the chord, and then just looking for different shapes, combining with open strings, kind of up the neck a little bit and coming up, and you can think about, on 2 strings, what sort of just 2 notes out of the chord that I can kind of expand off of. So for example, I sort of started with the E and the A note here, which would be part of an A major triad, but instead of playing the full triad, I've got the open E string, right? And then if I continue that and just come down to 7 and 7, that's part of the E major bar chord, right? Okay. Yeah, you can play around and include the D string as well, right? Like I might, you could go to a full triad if you wanted to, right? Right? But a lot of times you're kind of going for economy a little bit. If it's just a little bit of a topping kind of, ear candy guitar part, a lot of times you want to just play just a few notes goes a long way, right? So, when I get up to the F sharp and I've got the F sharp note, 11th fret of the G, and the minor 3rd, the A note, 10th fret of the B string, that's straight out of this F sharp minor bar chord, right? It's just I'm using 2 notes and then just adding in the E note just for some flavoring, right? And same thing with the D chord, right? Here's the D major bar chord shape, root on the A string, and just using 2 notes there on the G and B string. Adding the E note gives you that sus sound. Okay, so just some things to work on, things to hopefully inspire some experimentation a little bit, talking about that stuff. We doing all right? We hanging in there? Hopefully it didn't get too intense too quickly. Okay, so exercise 3, chord ornamentation. Okay, so this is a big one. In country, again, not just country, all genres, right? But especially in country, there's a lot of things you can do to just spice up chords a little bit when you're playing rhythm. So I've got a similar chord progression here. This chord progression is A minor to F to C to G. Okay? Yeah, embellishments, ornamentations, kind of, I mean the same sort of thing, right? Okay, so another classic chord progression is really common, right? Okay, you probably think of a million different songs right now for this. And so what's a way to spice this up? And by the way, before I get into spicing it up, let's just talk about, I'm doing the same chord change that I was in the previous example as far as the rhythm goes. I'm changing to that second chord on the and of 2. And same thing in the next bar as well. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, that's sort of the rhythm of where the chord changes are happening. All right, so a really common embellishment or just a little bit of spice to add in to this is to hammer on from the open strings to the A minor, okay? And so basically you're just playing open strings here, starting with the A string up to the B string, and hammering on the 2nd fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G, 1st fret of the B, okay? Okay. Then what I'm doing is I'm not going to the full F bar chord. I'm going to this version of it, okay? And what that allows me to do is lift my middle finger on and off the 2nd fret of the G string, okay? And that's a great ornamentation right there. So, okay, I go to the F chord, and then that final strum, I'm going to lift my middle finger off the G string, strum the chord, and then hammer on that middle finger back onto the 2nd fret of the G string. And it's not much. It's, kind of really simple. I mean, it's sort of hard to get under the fingers at first to get used to it, but that kind of thing just adds so much, right? Okay. Going to do the same move going to the C chord here, right? All right. So if you check it out, when I move to the C chord at first, Danny, I like it. That's funny. I'm hammering on the 2nd fret, like from the open D string to the 2nd fret of the D string on the C chord. Okay? All right? Another very common thing to do. And just, a little hard to get under the fingers at first to get used to it. But once you get it down, just a simple little move that adds tons to what you're doing, right? Okay, and again, a similar type move on the and of 2. I'm going to the G chord here. Okay, excellent, cool. Right on, Tree. 3rd fret of the low string, 2nd fret of the A, open D, open G, and this version of the G chord, is going to have sorry, I am Canadian. third fret of the B and high E string onto it. Okay, so a lot of times we'll use the open B string, but then other times it's just as hip to use, or a little bit hipper to use the D note third fret of the B string on that G chord. Makes it sound a little more focused, a little more open, right? And then right at the end, I'm just strumming the low strings and going from the open A string, hammering onto the second fret on the A string onto the chord. Okay, so is this sus? Yeah, it's well, the first one kind of isn't. Okay, the first one is coming just basically from a G to an A minor. You're hammering onto the A minor. Okay, like a G over A, right? But then when you go to the F, when you take that middle finger is the major third of the chord. Okay, so when you move that down a step to the open G string, that gives you a sus2. So in the C and the G chord, it also works out that those finger moves are also hammering on from the sus2 to the major third. Okay, so it's just the way the guitar is laid out. You've got that move, right, on those strings. Does that make sense? All right, so just a little bit of that, and it goes a long way. Sounds really good, right? Pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to move to the electric now, just to give it a little bit of love as well. And, you know, all of this can be like on electric or acoustic. Okay, so far we haven't done anything too crazy that you couldn't do on acoustic. But I just want to switch here a little bit for the next example, which is another thing that modern country usually does, is come up with some sort of bluesy sort of riff. Okay, and so I've got a riff here in D. Okay. Something like that. Okay. So, sounds great on acoustic as well. I just wanted to switch over to electric. Okay. But incorporating some cool little techniques, right? So the first one being the slide, sliding from the third fret to the fifth fret on the A string, and then going to the open D, open A string. Okay, so. And what's really cool is that you should experiment with this, because a lot of country, especially, will do stuff where they're alternating, and you'll even see it in some of the licks that I'm going to play, like kind of in a little bit. But there's a lot of like sort of alternating between the I need my telly for this. I do. Well, we're keeping it modern country, so I figured, you know, EVH does have a presence in some of the modern country stuff. Right? The Aldean, Jason Aldean guys play EVHs. I've seen them with a few other country guys, right? So figured I'd do it. Okay. Everybody wants the telly to come out. Okay. But yeah, Southern rock, right? Like there's a lot of rock influence in modern country, particularly in the knots sort of country, you know, 2000s, 2010s had a very big rock thing about it. Now it's gone a little more, you know, towards the pop and hip hop kind of thing a little bit, which is fun to experiment with. It's more about textures and all that kind of stuff. But definitely always a rock element, you know, Southern rock kind of thing. And so this does sound like kind of a Southern rock kind of riff, right? But my point being that this move, like sliding into the note that is the unison note with an open string, is like a tried and true sort of country approach, where you know, that kind of stuff, you know, really fun stuff to experiment with. So sliding in, and then, okay? So we've got third fret of the D string pulling off to the open string. So that's what makes it bluesy, because you've got the minor third with a bluesy bend. And then you've got that major pentatonic sound with the second fret of the A, right? Right? And go to just a D, open D power chord, right? So just something like this, yeah, cool. Like, you know, it goes back, right? Country rock, southern rock, just classic rock even. That's sort of the idea with that one. So I just wanted to show sort of a more bluesy approach, which is certainly still prevalent in the modern country thing, right? Cool. Excellent. So exercise 5, getting the hybrid picking going, right? Because that's what really gets you sounding a little bit country, is you start snapping, plucking some strings, right? So this is a really really easier exercise to get into that. Okay. And so what I'm doing is hybrid picking. I'm picking the lower notes, and I'm using my middle and ring finger to pluck on the G and B strings here. And in this case, it's the second fret. I'm barring down at the second fret. Now, what I've got is I've got a little staccato symbol below those notes on the staff. So what you want to do is, a lot of times what you want to do is hit, snap those and then cut them off right away. And how you do that is just lift your fretted finger off the strings, off the frets, but not off the strings. Okay? 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 That's kind of what we're going for. Clean it up a bit. Right? Let me grab the telly. Why not? It'll be fun to do this here. Now, I'm not grabbing my silver telly. I've got like more of a traditional kind of telly thing going on here. Let's see if we're in tune, hopefully. A little spankier, right? Okay. Okay, so that's sort of the idea, but you can kind of really expand on this kind of stuff. Yeah, this is ash. This is a heavy piece of ash, man. So, you can kind of do all sorts of stuff with this kind of idea. So what about hammering on? Open string to the second fret to the fourth fret. Okay? Yeah, it's kind of like chicken pick and mow a little bit. I'm plucking the string and trying to snap it a little bit. And, by pulling off the chord rather quickly, you get more of that sort of, clucking kind of, right? So, but you can hammer on here. Right? Even move it up into minor pentatonic and do that kind of stuff, right? 5th and 7th fret on the D string, and then you're barring down on 7 and 5 at the G and B. And then you can hammer on to the major third here on the 6th fret of the G onto that. Right? Right? So that was sort of the idea with that one, having a little bit of fun on that. Just showing you some hybrid picking kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Right. That's kind of interesting, playing Funk 49 with hybrid picking. Never really tried it. Yeah, so do some pull-offs. You can get that second fret of the G and B and then pull off to the open string. That kind of stuff, right? So anyway, fun stuff. And so at this juncture, I sort of just want to say, what's up, Ozman? Thanks for joining. If you're into modern country or just country in general, you know, sort of the best way to sort of really get some stuff under your fingers is just to, you know, pick songs you like and just try to start learning them. Okay. Find tabs, find YouTube videos, whatever you can get, and just try to pick up as much as you can about this stuff. By no means is this a complete list of any of these sort of approaches or techniques, right? I'm just sort of giving you a little bit of a sampler, right? But, you know, dive in and try to learn some songs, man. That's where you kind of get all this kind of stuff, right? John, does it work with a humbucker? Yeah, you can do this on a humbucker. I was doing it on the PV, but you know, every guitar has its own little character to it, right? So, you know, this guitar with the single coil and, you know, just the telly thing is going to have a little more snap, a little brighter, a little more sort of that idea. Footloose. Is that Footloose? What's a good modern country song on Guitar Tricks? Edward, we've got a bunch. There's Jason Aldean is on there, and so check those out. We've got some Brantley Gilbert. Kenny Chesney is on there. So kind of just have a look, you know, narrow it down to country and kind of have a look for some more sort of contemporary artists. So we do have a lot of old country too. So I don't know that I would recommend any to start with because, you know, what I find a lot of what I find with these modern country songs is that because of the way they produce the songs in Nashville now, what you usually have, you've usually always got an acoustic guitar that plays the chord progressions throughout the song. Okay. But then you've got all these extra guitars on top that layer and sort of add a lot of texture to the songs. And some of those can be a little more advanced, some of those parts. So what you can do is even like I urge you to check out some of the songs on Guitar Tricks. And even if they have like a more advanced rating, you know, like 4 picks or whatever, a lot of times there's an acoustic guitar in there that's just playing, just doing strums and just playing the chord progressions all the way through. And so that's still a great thing to learn, even though some of the other guitar parts in the song are, you know, a little more complex, right? And might be beyond your ability right now. So just focus on the acoustic and learn the chords of the song and learn to be able to play this, like strum through the song and play the chords. Whiskey River's a great one. Thanks, Anthony McC. Awesome. It's even got a solo on it, right? Played on an acoustic. Excellent. Cool. Wow, that's pretty cool, Mr. Daniel. Look at that, black metal with country music elements. There you go. So, hey, I want to, you know, some of you guys are into metal here. I'm just seeing you guys talk about, but you like the blues, not really much of country. But, you know, I think of Zakk Wylde because he really did the hybrid chicken picking thing in metal. He was one of the guys doing that kind of stuff. I don't know how much of it he does anymore, but he was doing that for a while. And it was really cool. It was a cool hybrid. And he's got that Southern rock sounding voice, right? So anyway. Cool. Okay, so getting on to exercise 6 and 7. I thought I'd just pull out a couple sort of guitar icons of the modern country era and just show you some, you know, just some typical kind of things that they've done. And by the way, Judah, Guthrie Trapp, check him out on YouTube. A master. Amazing stuff. Okay. Guy's a great country rock blues kind of guy. Roots country. Amazing. So yeah, I love it. Name check it. And of course, as you know, Tom Bukovac, who's like the one of the other #1 session guys, has a YouTube channel as well. He's a little more rock, but he can rip the country too. So check him out as well. Glenn, I took a look and stayed away from the 4 and 5 pick songs. You know, it's always worth a look just because there might be one guitar in there that's just holding it down, acoustic guitar, right? And so it means you can kind of get in there and play the song, right? Uncle Larry, you got it. Everybody's Uncle Larry. John, I'm with you. I love it too. Okay. So Keith Urban, I've got a couple examples of some things he would do, but these are great approaches just in any genre. Okay. So don't tune out just because Keith Urban's got a bit of a rock sort of background, a rock past in Australia, right? So, all right. So this first one is, once again, I tabbed this really straightforward. Okay. And the idea is that you were playing melodies, okay, with an open string. So I'm going to play in the key of E major using the E major scale as notes on the B string and combining it with the open high E string. Okay. So I've got something like this. Okay. Really cool sound, used in all genres, but something Keith Urban might do, right? Like that kind of thing, right? So, you know, take these ideas and just mess around with them. Find where the scale notes are, right? Like for E major, you've got B, C sharp, D sharp. Then you've got 5, 7, and 9. And then 9, 10, 12. Right? All right, those are notes from E major up here, and you just... All right, come up with melodies, and, you know, with that high E string, really creates a cool sound, right? So definitely something to play around with a little bit, okay? What do we got here? Am I doing session work there in Nashville? I haven't done any recently. I did do some stuff like about 5, 6 years ago. Not very much, just a little bit. So did do some stuff, but haven't really been in that. It's not sort of my main thing. So tough nut to crack up there in Nashville. Here's the thing. In Nashville, there are just thousands of amazing guitar players. So the competition is pretty fierce for that kind of thing, right? So yeah, but I did get to do a few things, which was fun. Okay, Urban, the Pink and Keith Urban song. I don't know the title either. Glenn Campbell wasn't bad. Ah, amazing. Check out some old Glenn Campbell stuff. You guys want to have your minds blown on guitar. That guy. Crazy. The Rectifier amp sim is my favorite. Check out the clean channel on the Rectifier. That'll give you some country, right? Cool. I love it. All right. So another sort of Keith Urban style lick involving some slides a little bit and some pull-offs. Goes something like this. Well, let's see. That kind of thing. And I think he has a song that kind of adds an extra note in there. Yeah. That kind of thing, right? So cool ideas here, right? Again, in the key of E major. And you almost got like this pedal sort of sliding note, 10 A to a B note, 10 to 12 on the B string. And then you're just moving up the E major scale with it. E, F sharp, G sharp, right? 2 frets up right there. So, and then notes from E major. Here's some pull-offs. Okay. So I'm pulling off 17 to 16 on the high string, and then 19 to 17 on the B. And then a full step bend up on 19. With my pinky, I'm grabbing 19 on the high string. And okay. So pretty cool ideas there. Again, you can use this. You can use this kind of stuff anywhere, right? Jimmy Crack Corn. There you go. Right. All right. So getting into Brad Paisley. This is what we had, like a specific sort of request for some Brad Paisley type stuff. And so he's a lightning fast guitar player, Brad Paisley, and I'm just touching the surface of some of the stuff he does. But what he relies on a lot are, you know, just pulling off to open strings a lot. We're kind of what we were talking about before. You know, we kind of covered doing it in A major, you know, kind of in the second position, but you can actually do it in the third position and, you know, sort of outline the G blues scale that way. So exercise 7A does that. So this is what they call kind of a rolling lick, where you're kind of doing the same sequence on each string set and descending down the strings. So the first one, okay. So let me get a little more gain on that. Just okay. Let's see. Okay, so Brad Paisley played that probably twice or three times as fast as I just did, but that's the idea. Something like that, okay? So what we've got is a pull-off, third fret to the open E string. And what you're doing is using hybrid picking. So you're plucking on the top string of this sequence, so, and then picking the 6th fret of the B string. So, right, picking on the B string, and then back up to the high string with a pluck. So, like that. Then we're going to do the same sort of idea. Okay, 3rd fret to the open B string, 5th fret this time of the G back to the open B string. And then do that exact same thing on the G and D string. And then the exact same thing on the D and A string. Okay, so you see he's sort of outlining, right? But instead of, you know, fretting stuff on the 3rd fret, he's also bringing in those open strings. So and then finish it up with something like this. That move from the minor 3rd to the major 3rd, and then ending on the G note, 3rd fret of the low string. Hit a G chord, right? So that kind of idea, right? Pretty cool. And you can also do that kind of thing on one set of strings and come down the neck. So exercise 7B goes something like this. Let's see. Okay, so let's see if we can get that up to speed. There's the idea there. So we're sliding in 7 to 9 on the D. And then again, pulling off from the 7th fret to an open G string, right? Okay, and then just coming down, 7th fret of the D and then 6th fret of the G. Okay. 5th fret of the D string to the 4th fret of the G. And then 4th fret of the D to the 2nd fret of the G. And then 2nd fret of the D going to the 3rd fret of the A with the bluesy bend. A power chord, right? So. Cool? All right, so just a taster, just a sort of a teaser of some things that are fun to get under your fingers for sure. So definitely, hopefully this inspires a little bit. Again, you don't have to be a fan of modern country per se to you know, have some fun with this stuff. So hopefully that opened some doors for you guys to head down the rabbit hole of experimentation. Audible headache. Does some country borrow from, say, E minor blues scale? Absolutely, right? Like if we're in a minor song, right? Right? Here's the E minor pentatonic. Chorus, and then you got the blues note, the B flat, 3rd fret, right? All that kind of stuff. Absolutely. And you can, of course, do that all up here, too. E minor pentatonic or E blues. Okay. So yeah, just work some hybrid picking in there, and it starts to sound a little more country. Okay. Alex Lifeson used a lot of pull-offs to open strings. Absolutely. I'm going to teach this one for Guitar Tricks next week. E string keeps flying off this fretboard a little bit. Right? So that one's coming on Guitar Tricks pretty soon for all you Rush fans out there. I'm excited to teach it. Awesome. So excellent, Glenn. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Oh, Chad, quickly explain the picking and finger use on the last lick. Yeah, I wasn't quite. So basically, the D string you're going to pick, and the G string you're going to pluck. And I use my middle finger. So I don't know if you can see that. And then I grab the pick on the last three notes there. Okay. Cool. Excellent, John. That's awesome. What model is your Martin? This Martin is it's a Guitar Center exclusive. It's like an MVM or something like that. It is sort of a mid-level Martin. It's not one of the cheap ones, but it's not one of, like the D28 kind of like really expensive Martins. But I played it alongside a D28 and it held its own. It doesn't have as much of the sort of cosmetic frills that a D28 would have. It's a little more stripped down. But this thing sounded awesome in the store, so I had to have it. So yeah, it's one of those. It's a Guitar Center exclusive model, so it's just limited to Guitar Center. That's all I know about it. Cool. Don't forget about the shotgun and the pickup. We didn't talk about any of the lyrics, right? Paul is asking, in your opinion, what's a good ratio of practice time to learning new songs? What level of mastery do you recommend? So these are great questions. The second question, what level of mastery do you recommend when learning a song before moving on to a new song? So really good questions, Paul. First one is I sort of anywhere from 25% to 30% of your practice time should be on songs. Okay. That's going to inform learning the songs and playing through songs and keeping a repertoire is really important. And additionally, when you're working on new songs, it's going to inform like some of the other things that you practice. Like if you've seen any of my videos on creating a practice routine, I talk a lot about, when you're learning songs, the things in the songs that are really tough for you are the things you have to pull out and put into a special place in your practice routine where you're just focused on. It could be a chord change, it could be a little riff, it could be something that's catching you off every time that you can't get. You need to put some special attention into that. So the songs inform that kind of practice where you're really drilling stuff to try and get the mechanics down. Also, the songs are really important for anything else you're learning. For example, if you're working through the Guitar Tricks, fundamentals or the country course or the blues course or whatever, learning the songs gives you a chance to make those light bulb connections about the things that you're learning in courses or from books or from YouTube videos or whatever, and actually like going, oh, that's what they meant. Like I can see it now applied in a song. So it's super important. Anywhere from 25 to 30% of the time, at least, work on songs. Okay. It depends on your skill level, because if you start having some really decent skills, you can up that percentage. Okay. Because in the beginning, we have to focus a lot on just mobility stuff. We have to get the fingers moving. Okay. Second one is, what level of mastery do you recommend when learning a song before moving to a new song? That's a tough one. I would say that when you start getting frustrated with it, it's probably a good time to put it down and come back to it later, go to another song and try to master another song and come back to it. Okay. Or if you get it to the point where you think, hey, I'm pretty happy with that, move on. Okay, so either of those two, right? But you don't want to burn out on it and just not play guitar at all. Okay, so try to head that off. Like if you feel like I'm starting to get burned out on this, I'm getting frustrated, switch gears, find another song, hopefully something that's a little bit easier, and get it under your fingers and get away from that song. You can always come back to it, right? Hopefully that helps. Cool. What else? Martin sounds very bright. New strings. No, actually, I was just thinking of changing these strings. They're kind of old, actually. So it's still got some life in it. I'm happy to hear that it came across that way. Awesome. What do I think of Epiphone acoustics? I don't have much hands-on experience with them. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure you could find some great ones. They had some of those master-built ones looked really nice, which is cool. Oh, master-built. Exactly. There you go, Peter. Not all of us can afford a Martin. Audible, Martin's got some has an inexpensive line too. So check it out. Can you suggest one or two songs that have fairly easy solo as a beginner? Improved soloing technique and musicality. Sure. Sour, are you more of a metal guy, right? So there's some Judas Priest on guitar tricks. I would check out Living After Midnight's got a great solo. That's pretty straightforward. That's a good one. Come on now. There's some other ones. I'm always feels like I'm on the spot with suggesting songs. Hopefully that's something that would be cool. You have it, Martin D15. Awesome. I love it, Ron. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate the kind words. Thoughts on learning parts of songs? Ideally, it's good to try and learn a whole song all the way through to be able to play it all the way through. That really sort of adds some good skill to you to be able to play an arrangement all the way through. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with learning just parts of songs too. And that's going to help too, right? Like especially riffs, right? I know a million riffs. And some of those songs I probably couldn't get all the way through the song, but it's always a goal. Always try to do that because it helps your overall arrangement skills and playing through songs and all that kind of stuff. Times like these, Foo Fighters. There you go. Any tips on doing pull-offs on the acoustic jazz house? Yeah, I mean, we use pull-offs on acoustics all the time. It's just you gotta work it, and so go slow, right? Like just even if you have to drill something like really slow, that's the way you're going to do it. Like for example, I have a student that I'm teaching Zeppelin, and this one is a killer. Okay, so pull it out of the song and go. Okay, when I before I work on playing through the song again, I'm just going to work on this for a minute and try to get it. You have to go slow, but try and get it nice and smooth, right? And just work on it for a minute every day, right? Let's just try and get it as smooth as you can and strengthen that and get the mobility on your fingers nice and loose so that it feels more and more natural. Cool? Hopefully that helps. We're not going to take it. Fox on the Run. Good choice. We're not going to take it. That's a good choice. Fox on the Run's a great choice. Thank you for chiming in on some good songs with good, straightforward solos. Love it. Yes. Casual observer, my biggest problem, improvising without sounding like I'm running scales. Okay, cool. Well, learning lots of solos as note for note as you can helps with that because you start to develop a bit of an instinct for phrasing. Okay. Try to think like a conversation, like just I could talk a long time about that, but try to think, like a call and response conversation. Like move your stuff into phrases. Another big thing is to learn sequences on your scales instead of just playing them up and down, right? Like groups of three, it sounds a lot more like a line than it does like just, going up a scale, right? Groups of four coming down, like that kind of thing. Okay, so look up sequences on guitar tricks. Use the magnifying glass. Search function. Andrews has got a great tutorial on the rock course about sequences, okay? And that's how to play scales, but play it in a little more of a musical way, okay? Built to Spill and Pavement. I love it. 90s grunge and some punk. Cool, man. What else we got here? Having fun and listening, watching and listening. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. April Wine. There you go. Oh. There we go. All right. Pull-offs are just grab the string, the kind of drag and pluck. That's it. It's just like what it sounds. You're pulling off, but you're also sort of plucking that string at the same time, okay? Thanks, Dave. I appreciate the kind words. Hammer-ons were easy. Pull-offs are challenged. That's usually the way it goes. All right, Sour Steven loves classic Canadian rock. There you go. Me too, man. Check out Took. No one does it better these days than Took. Thanks, Peter. Sounds great. Excellent. Try to copy the vocal and voice on guitar. Help create licks. Chad, great idea. Absolutely. Play the melodies. Play melodies. Learn where they are on the guitar. Get used to hearing them, right? So a deer, a female deer. There you go. I like it. Pull-offs are like grabbing and dragging at the same time. Helix. I love it, man. Anyway, we're over time, but I loved it. Okay, guys, appreciate you hanging out for tonight. I hope you got something out of it. Hope you got inspired. We'll see you here next week, same time. And hope you have a great weekend and a safe week. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Cheers. End. See ya.